We got first versus fourth in Serie A, first versus second in the Bundesliga.
David versus Goliath matchup in La Liga, and two European hopefuls going head-to-head in the Prem. All this and more on episode 44 of the No Business Soccer Podcast. Snooze, kick us off.
Let's dig in. We got to have that keep running while we're on here. You know what I mean? We're jamming out there. Welcome back to the No Business Soccer Podcast, everybody. What's going on? I'm your host, Snooze, as always, and we are here with the full fam. We got J-Fam, the Brainiac in the back, and of course, Danny P on the ones and twos, and everybody's favorite, Hype Man Vic. Hype Man, what you sipping on, dog?
Today, we got a cocktail. It is called a Gold Rush. If you ever had a bee's knees, it's the same thing, but with whiskey. It's honey syrup. I already forgot. Lemon juice and just whiskey. And since I'm a little bougie, I don't know if you can tell. You see that gold shimmer in there?
Oh, yeah.
I put some edible gold in that.
That's the things that make your turds gold, right? Like they spike
yeah.
They
amazing.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Y'all need to turn the lights on over there. And also, since it's a whiskey that I have, that's not a sentence. Anyway, I know I get hit up in the comments all the time about like what whiskey to buy. This is the best whiskey for the money. It's Wild Turkey 101. It is good to sip on its own. It's good in every cocktail you could have, and it's definitely worth the money. You should have this on your bar at all times. Full disclosure, nobody's ever asked me anything in the comments, but just want to let you guys know. I've always wanted to say that.
I was about to say, dang, I didn't even know that. My boys in those comments like that. I obviously know, but just there's someone out there that doesn't know. What's the alcohol in bee's knees?
The alcohol in bee's knees is gin. Gin,
okay.
lemon juice, and
everybody else that didn't know.
Yeah.
Not me. I knew, but you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's really good too. Yeah.
Okay. Well, today's episode, as you know, on Thursdays, this comes out on Thursday? Friday. It comes out on Friday. On Fridays, we do the look ahead, and we have all four leagues this week, and it's going to be, there's a lot of good games. I'm actually very excited for this one. And it's fun. This is one of my favorite episodes because I like all of them, really. But this is one of my favorite episodes we do because you get to get hype. We kind of talk about all the games, get you hype up to watch them. And then we, of course, will have a short recap of the UEFA competitions coming up in just a moment. But there's just a lot to go on. But first thing I want to talk about, you see we're wearing the Austin FC stuff. Vic, we have a little bit of team drama here that we got to dig into.
Is that so?
So Vic has 2 season tickets, and Danny P wants to buy one from him. And he's like, yeah, you don't have to pay for 2. You just pay for 1. I'll pay for the other. And Vic, what was your answer to him? Please tell us, please.
So full disclosure, I didn't give him a straight answer, but I was saying like I usually take other people, like a lot of people. There's like 3 or 4 consistent people that I take. So I mean, he's going to the first game. You know what I mean? Like he can go to other games,
but he can't pay you to go to all of them.
I want to take other people. And another thing, the reason why I'm not just like, yeah, buy it, because I already paid for them. They already paid for it.
That's true. That's true. Next season. He's saying next season.
Yeah, maybe next season. We'll talk about next season.
Other reason too, we have how many days? 9 days until the kickoff starts. Kansas City.
Sir.
And I don't know if everyone got them. We were talking about this a second ago.
Wait. 8 days. It's Friday, remember?
Oh, 8 days. Oh, yeah. That's right. 8 days. 8 days. Yes, I was going to call out my math. But we're all season ticket holders are getting their gifts, their cool Yeti cups. I should have brought mine. I don't know why I didn't. But man, it's just it is the season. It's definitely coming around, and we're all hyped for it. Okay, but we talk about European football, and so let's dig into that, and let's start off with the UEFA competitions in the update there. Yes, we had the playoffs. Playoffs? Oh, dang, he was drinking. I know he would have said it.
Yeah.
Yes, we had the playoffs, and of course, that sounds like music to our ears in America. And we're going to just cover a couple of the Conference League ones, a couple of the Europa League ones, and then we'll talk about all of the ones that we saw in the Champions League. The game that I do want to talk about is in the Conference League. Starting off with, we have Heidenheim versus Copenhagen. And of course, we talked about this prior to this game kicking off, and we were saying how Heidenheim has been horrible in the Bundesliga, which they have. We'll talk about them in a second. And they get a 2-1 win over Copenhagen in the playoffs. What the hell is going on? That was on the road too, so they still get to come to Germany and play Heidenheim at home. So man, I don't know. Like if you get relegated, but you win the Europa or the Conference League, do you get? How does that work?
Yeah.
You're in the Bundesliga too, but you're playing in the Europa League. That's crazy. I don't know. What a crazy story. Fun to follow. Of course, they've been bad, but fun to follow. Double H. I remember I used to call them Double H, and I kind of dropped that because And I need to focus on being right here. I get too jolly and moving around with this mic. I got in trouble from Danny P. And the last game of the Conference League I want to talk about is Real Betis versus Ghent. They beat Real Betis beat Ghent 3-0, and Anthony scored again. I believe, if I'm correct, he's had 4 games for Real Betis, and I think he scored in 2 and assisted in another. I mean, dude is he's coming alive since he moved over from the Prem.
Good move.
Yeah, I guess so.
Exactly. It was a good move.
And so that's it for the Conference League games that we were talking about. Let's move on to the Europa League, and a lot of crazy matches here. The first one we're talking about is Real Sociedad versus Midtjylland. It's 2-1 to Real Sociedad, which is really cool because they had been pretty bad form in La Liga and in Spain in general. Our team, Ferencváros, which sounds weird. Why would that be our team? They were going crazy. They were the team that played Fiorentina when we were in Florence, and they were going insane. And they were like, the crowd was it was just awesome. So they got a little spot in my heart. But they did beat Victoria Pilsen, another team that Pilsen's a cool place. They beat them 1-0. But Ferencváros, that is really cool to see that. Be cool to see if they get into the round of 16. Fenerbahce beat Anderlecht 3-0. AZ Alkmaar beat Galatasaray 4-1. And the main match that I was watching was Porto versus Roma. And Porto ends 1-1 with Roma getting a red card. Okay, that does it for the Europa League. We will see how those match up. Of course, these are just the first legs. We do have the second legs to come, I believe, next week. And we have the Champions League first legs. And this is what everybody was watching and talking about. I mean, the teams that got by, they weren't talking about them, but everybody else was. And PSG took care of Brest. 3-0. I don't know. We're trying to find a way to say that it's not weird, but 3-0. And we had Sporting losing to Dortmund 3-0 as well. And then, of course, the match that had Vic raging hard. Juventus versus PSV. And the reason why is because, if you're American and you're watching, you see Weston McKinney.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That banger. Oh, my God. Yeah. It was so
that
awesome.
Thing was a rocket. Man, that looked nice. And then he did the swish and flick.
If you don't know, Hype Man, he's a big Harry Potter fan. And
swish and flick.
No.
Hey, I keep that thing on me. Don't worry about it. I keep that thing on me.
Oh, my God. Wow. Okay. But yes, that I texted him. I was like, Vic, you got to be just raging hard right now. Like, this is crazy. What a goal though. What a time to be an American watching your team play overseas. And then of course the biggest match we had, Real Madrid versus Man City, which was just insane in itself. City ended up choking the lead away to Real Madrid. It's just Jude Bellingham gets the stoppage time winner. Man City was up 2-1 when Brahim Diaz gets the equalizer, who they sold to Real Madrid. I think he left. Either way, he came from City to Real Madrid. He gets the equalizer. Jude Bellingham does what he does, gets the winner. And Vic, Man City are down 1 goal going to the Bernabeu. That does not sound good.
Well, sorry about that. I'm back. I guess my system was getting mad because I was getting too nerdy, and I put my wand away. I think you just asked if Real or Man City, Real Madrid, was it cool seeing them lose? And I just said yes, but I was lagging. Man City losing is always cool to me. So, and especially the comeback win, that was great.
Yeah, awesome game to watch. We still have the second leg in the Bernabeu. It's going to be great. And then the last 4 games we had in the playoffs, we had Club Brugge, not Bruges, 2-1. They beat Atalanta 2-1. Bayern beat Celtic 2-1. Benfica beat Monaco 1-0, and Feyenoord get the win over Milan 1-0. Wow. A lot to play for in the second leg of the playoffs in the Champions League. Looking forward to all of those, and we'll talk about them here next week on the No Business Soccer Podcast. You like that? Oh, okay.
Nice.
Now let's jump right into the weekend look ahead. We got plenty to talk about, and I think we're first going to start in Italy.
Let's go to Italy then with Serie A.
Vic, hit us with the table update.
Yeah, and on the table, looks really good for Napoli. They have 55 points. They're still 1 point ahead of Inter Milan. Inter Milan have 54 points in the second spot. Atalanta trying to creep in there as well. They have 50 points in the third spot, and Lazio, a little bit further behind. There's a 5-point gap between them and Atalanta. They're in the fourth spot with 45 points. Tickling the top 4 is Juventus. I'm just going to say that because I finally learned how to say it, and I'm going to tell you what they have. They have 43 points and the fifth spot. And just behind them is our Fiorentina, throwing them in there because we've seen them play. It was pretty cool. They have 42 points, just 1 point behind Juventus. I can't stop saying that Spanish H, man. The Spanish JH thing. But anyway, trying to get into the Europa League and possibly sneak into those Champions League spots. But at the bottom of the table, with no chance at the Champions League, is Parma, starting off as the first losers. As we say, in the 18th spot, they have 20 points. Behind them is Venezia. They have 16 points. They still keep their badge and their star because they are not holding up the table like Monza. I won't take away their badge, though, because they started out that way, and it looks cool. It kind of looks like Kansas City Chiefs here. Monza is in the last spot with 13 points. All three of them taking losses this weekend, fighting for the bottom of the table still. But snooze, we have a big matchup, all in the top 4, all some Champions League spots that we have going on for Napoli and Lazio. Tell us a little bit more about that match coming up.
Yeah, that's the match we're watching here. The main match is Napoli versus Lazio. And really, had this match been a few weeks ago, I think it would have been easily pinned in for Napoli to get 3 points. But Lazio have turned things around recently. They did lose to Braga in the Europa League, but they had already punched their ticket to the round of 16. And while the loss to Fiorentina did sting, they've now won back-to-back matches and made it 3 wins in 5 in Serie A. But, Napoli are still a powerhouse this season. It's not like they forgot how to win games. They won 7 straight very recently before their back-to-back draws against Roma and Udinese, and they're no longer looking like the boogeyman of Serie A, but they are definitely a strong powerhouse in Italy. And I think, in fact, one of the benefits that they had, though, this season over the top of the table opponents was the fact that they didn't have European matches to go through. But Lazio finishing top of the Europa League table means they don't have to play in the playoffs, either to Spurs or Liverpool. Depends on the league we're talking about. But that benefit is now gone. Lazio, they come into this match with the third best goals for in Serie A with 45, while Napoli are only 6th with 39. But the biggest discrepancy, Vic, that I see is the goals against, where Napoli are first in Serie A with only 17 goals allowed in the league all season. And with Lazio coming in and almost double that at 32, which is mid-table at best on the defensive side of the ball. This one can really go either way, but what sways me towards Lazio is the fact that the first team to beat Napoli, or the last team to beat Napoli, actually, was the Lazio side that we're seeing them play this weekend. And they did it on the road last time. So now they get Napoli in Rome, and it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a chess match. Maybe not a lot of goals in this one, but I think it should be fun nonetheless. And I don't know. I want to go Lazio here, but Napoli are pretty strong, Vic. Which way do you lean?
I'm going Lazio on this one. This is Lazio.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. We've seen them play. We're pretty much best friends with everyone there.
Yeah, best friends, especially the dick pic Eagle guy, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
good friend.
We collabed with him.
Wait, what? Okay.
No, you didn't do it too?
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Okay, never mind. Either way, I'm going Lazio. I like an upset, and Lazio is one of our teams, and I have their kit in the back, so.
Well, before we move off from Serie A, let's talk about the rest of the games that are going on as well. Friday, we get Bologna, and Bologna gets Torino at home. Bologna's European dream for next year is fading quickly, as there's now a 4-point gap between them and Fiorentina in 6th, and they come up against a Torino side who haven't lost in Serie A in 8 matches. The last team to beat them, though, was this Bologna side back on December 21st. And on Saturday, we get Atalanta, who have dropped points in 3 of their last 5 matches, but they might be able to build off their win over Verona last weekend as they welcome 13th Cagliari. Cagliari are only 4 points off the relegation places, and they need any points they can get. And then, of course, we just talked about Napoli versus Lazio, and that's going to be happening on Saturday as well. We get Milan and Verona at home coming off the Champions League defeat to Feyenoord. On paper, it should be straightforward, but Verona are a wounded animal. They've lost 3 of 5 in the league and are only 3 points off the relegation spots. So don't slip up. Don't slip up, Milan. On Sunday, we get Fiorentina taking on Como at home, and damn, I feel bad for Como because they've had to play Juve, Bologna, Atalanta, AC Milan, Lazio, Inter, and Roma in 7 of their last 9 matches. If you just checked in and were like, oh yeah, that's all the good teams in Serie A, right? Like, yeah, that's who that Como team has just played. And now it's a road trip to Florence to take on Fiorentina. That's just insane. They need some lower table team stat, or else they're just going to keep dropping points and losing that confidence with it. Monza get a home date with the Milkmen Lecce, and our favorites in this one against the bottom of the table team, Monza, especially since they've been beating Parma and drawn with Bologna in the last 2 match days. Man, it's going to be hard for Monza to get anything from here, but the Milkmen, let's do it. Mid-table Udinese are at home against relegation candidates Empoli. A draw with league leaders Napoli last time out should give Udinese boys a ton of confidence going to this one. Empoli have lost 4 or 5 and are in a free fall, so I think they can get the points here. Roma continue their push for Europe, and this weekend they get a road trip to Parma. Parma have been terrible of late, losing 4 of 5 with 3 straight losses. This should mean that Ranieri's boys have a good chance of taking 3 points back to Rome. And it's 2nd versus 5th when Inter travel to Turin to take on Juve. With Napoli's match against Lazio the day before, Inter will know what they have to do in this match, and that turns up the pressure in that match no matter what the outcome is. If they win, if they lose, they know exactly what they need to do. Juve have started winning more games lately, and they'll come into this match full of confidence from their 2-1 win over PSV in the Champions League. Vic is still raging right now. And on Monday, Genoa will look to stamp their mid-table credentials as they take on second bottom Venezia at home. Venezia are now 5 points from safety, and pretty much all of the teams from 15 down are in horrible form right now, so 3 points anywhere is a serious stamp on staying up. So hopefully they can get that done. We will find out. Okay, that is it for Serie A. And man, a lot of good games we're talking about there. I think it's time to move on though to I'm feeling like we should go to Spain. What you think?
Let's do it. España to La Liga.
And over to Vic for an update of the table in La Liga.
Yes, let's take a look at the table for La Liga. Up top is very familiar. The Madrids are on top. Real Madrid and Atleti both have 50 and 49 at the same, respectively, not at the same time. That's impossible. Barcelona is in the 3rd spot, and they're looking to try to sneak into that 1st spot. We'll talk a little bit more about them in a little bit. They have 48 points, the top team with the win, and they're catching up. So they're in the 3rd spot. Behind them is Atletico Bilbao, however you want to say it. They have 44 points, trying to stay in competition for the top spot there, and they are looking pretty good as well. Tickling the top 4, as we say, is Villarreal. They're in the 5th spot with 40 points, and you can't count them out yet too, so they're looking pretty good, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But for the bottom of the table is Valencia. They actually have 22 points, been fighting their way up. They are in the 18th spot, and they leapfrogged Alaves there. Alaves is in the 19th spot with 21 points. Valencia is the only team in the bottom 3 to get a win, so good on them, finding their way up and out of relegation. And then holy guacamole, my voli-doli, Real Valladolid holding up the rest of the table. I mean, I think they've been going downhill since I bought their merch. That might be my fault. It might be like the flowers thing.
I think because you say guacamole or something, we got blocked on TikTok on our last short. Maybe I don't know.
I should probably stop that. I don't know what happened with that last.
Is that it? There's no way guacamole does that. Like, there's no way. But anyway,
yeah, I have no idea. But Real Valladolid holding up the rest of the table with 15 measly points in the 20th spot. Snooze, let us know what this weekend is looking like with those matchups.
Well, I just want to call one thing out before we go on. If you can please go back to the last slide, sir. I'm throwing this out there. Check out that 7th, 8th, 9th. What is that, 10th? All with 31 points. Yeah. That is insane. Yeah. And those spots right below, or the tickling the top, as you would say, that it's getting so close. And then, of course, when you look at the bottom of the table with Las Palmas, it's 23, 23, 23, 22, 20. I mean, the table is insanely tight, and we're getting very close to, the nitty gritty of the La Liga season. It's just fun times, man. Makes it so much fun whenever there's a lot to play for. Still, every match day means something, and that's why we love this sport. Okay, enough of me gloating about it. And we'll start in La Liga this weekend on Friday with Girona. And Girona have informed Getafe at home to kickstart the weekend, and Girona have lost 3 of 5 in La Liga. That's not good. I'm sure they're excited to not have the Champions League to worry about anymore, but Getafe are no joke as they're unbeaten in 5 La Liga matches and have won 3 of 5. On Saturday, we have a 6-pointer with massive implications in the relegation battle and sees Leganés take on Alaves. Both teams have lost back-to-back matches in the league, and there's only a 2-point gap between Leganés in 17th and Alaves in 19th, which is insane. Top of the table, Real Madrid take on mid-table Osasuna, which mid-table is harsh because 7th through 10th all have the same points as we just talked about. But either way, a pissed-off Madrid should come away with 3 points here after being frustrated in the Madrid derby last match day. I really don't see it any other way. Osasuna is starting to come back, but they got a little bit to pick up. Celta Vigo stopped their run of 6 winless matches in La Liga with last weekend's comeback against Betis, but now they go on the road to face second in the table Atleti. Atleti are a point behind Real and play right after their match, so they're going to be some match watching, and they're going to be paying attention to that result because they're going to have to figure out what they need to do. But probably winning is just a good idea, right, Vic? Like just win. Just 3 points
usually
is fine.
helps. Usually helps.
Then we get the Derby de la Comunitat. Comunitat? No, it's like Spanish, but it sounds weird. I don't know if that's Spanish, but it might be like some other Spanish language. What's that called? Like adjacent? Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to be smart right now. It's not working out. So, but it's between Valencia and Villarreal, which is always a hype match. But this time you have a Villarreal side fighting for the Champions League spots, while Valencia are fighting for their La Liga survival. Valencia come into this one on the best form they've had all season, winning 3 of their last 5 with back-to-back wins. This means a lot for both teams in different ways, and man, that's going to be a fun one to watch. On Sunday, we have relegation-threatened Espanyol getting Bilbao at home, and remember that Bilbao are trying to get into the Champions League for just the 3rd time ever, and their first time since the 2014-15 season, sitting 4 points clear in the 4th spot. So they need to get it done here. They can't slip up against a relegation-threatened squad. Bottom of the table, Valladolid welcome Sevilla to town, and I'm not sure how much Vic's Volidoli have left in the tank at this point. They are just kind of swimming there, but Sevilla should get 3 points. Mallorca have lost 3 of their last 5, and then they get Las Palmas at home, who've lost 4 of their last 5. So it'd be a great time for either side to get a win here. As we said, just winning is always good, but more than likely they'll split the points and do themselves no favors. Mid-table Betis take on Real Sociedad, who absolutely needed to win last time out against Espanyol, as they had lost 3 straight prior to that win. The mid-table is so tight in La Liga, as we were just talking about, and a loss and a couple other results could see Betis fall all the way to 14th, so they don't want to be losing here. Spanish big Barcelona take on the mighty Rayo Vallecano, and we're going to dig into that one right now, because this one, I mean, there's some big matchups this weekend, but this one, I'm pretty hype about it. I don't know why, but actually I do know why, and I'll tell you right now. Barcelona versus Rayo Vallecano. So we all know Barcelona and, new head coach. They can't spend too much money. They can't even sign players for the full season because they're getting in trouble and have to go to politicians and bringing them in and going to the states, I think, to make sure that they can get players on. But either way, this is a rebuilding year, apparently. And all they've done, Vic, and if this is a rebuilding year, then, man, I feel really bad for them. But they're 2 points off of Real Madrid in first place in La Liga. They've already won 2 Clásicos with a combined score of 9-2, and they narrowly missed out on the top spot in the Champions League, finishing second behind Vic's Liverpool. And, man, I just feel really bad for them in this rebuilding year, like, holy crap, like, just pray for them.
Yeah. Great. But it's really hard. Really hard.
But they do get the little engine that could in Rayo Vallecano, who have won 3 straight La Liga matches and made it 4 wins in 5 in the process. The hype is starting to build to see them finish in the top 6 and get back into Europe for the first time since the 2000-2001 season. And also, let's not forget that Rayo, they finished 17th last year. So that means they were the first winner, I guess, as you would put it. I don't know. Like, the first loser. Winner? The last winner. There you go. They're the last winner.
The worst winner. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. They barely stayed up is the point, above the drop zone. But the job that manager Inigo Perez has done this year is insane. It's crazy. But listen, y'all motherfuckers, I better not be talking to them about Europe. Okay, he does not want to hear the talk about Europe. He just wants survival at this point. But the only issue is, while there's really never a good time to get Barca, they're currently on a three-game league winning streak anyway, of their own, and meaning that both sides are coming in full of confidence. Both sides are in good shape, and man, I can't wait to see how it plays out. You would think that all this talk and all this hype, that Barca are just going to come in there and blow them out 5-0 or something crazy like that. But I mean, Rayo would love 3 points, but honestly, getting 1 point from this Barca game is huge for them. And sometimes whenever that kind of pressure is off your shoulders to just play your game and come away with the point, it can lead to places. But, do we believe that it can happen, Vic? That's the question.
Let me tell you what, man. Rayo Vallecano, like you said, 17th last year, barely made it up. They are fighting for European spots right now. You think they're going to be fired up? Hell yeah, they're going to be fired up. I think they're going to be fired up. I'm going to watch this game. I got Barcelona still winning 3-0 probably. So, but it's going to be pretty cool to watch. Pretty cool to watch.
I was hyped up. I had them hyped up. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
sorry,
that's
all the Rayo Vallecano fans.
I know all the hype that I was giving that game too, and we're gonna come back on Monday and be like, yeah, it was 3-0.
I felt like Pat McAfee there for a while.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the game that has a lot of hype because of what they've achieved to this point. But if they get a point from that game, I mean, come on, now we're talking about for real. Like that's insane. So. Okay, well, we'll see how that match comes back. If it's 3-0, I'll be laughing. I'll be texting you the entire time. So that is it. That is it for La Liga. Let's move it along to Germany.
For the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
And sweet.
Before we get into the schedule, though, let's hit them with the reminder of the table, Vic.
Yes. Let's go take a look at the table. Up top is Bayern Munich. Very everybody knows Bayern Munich is going to be up.
Look at all that green up there too, bro.
Yeah,
come on.
I know. That's what I was going to say too. That's crazy. Wins and draws for nothing but the top three the past 6 weeks at least. That's all you can see. Leipzig kind of messed up there for a second, but in the number 2 spot is never losing Leverkusen. They have 46 points, a clear 8 points behind Barcelona. Pretty crazy. Unfortunately, this is the table that has like the most parity. So most of these matchups are starting to fall off. They're just kind of like trying to maintain as opposed to like taking over some spots, because Eintracht Frankfurt is in the 3rd spot, which is a clear 7 points behind Bayern Leverkusen in the 2nd spot, which is pretty crazy. The closest it comes in the top 4 is RB Leipzig in the 4th spot. They have 36 points, just 3 points behind Eintracht Frankfurt. Behind them, if you want to get a little bit closer, is Stuttgart, tickling the top 4, as we say. They have 35 points, trying to get back and fight into those Champions League spots. But taking a look at the bottom of the table, Holstein Kiel still hold the 17th spot. They have 13 points with their draw. And boy, oh boy, Bochum, they can't catch a break. They finally get a point. And they've been looking decently the past like 5 weeks. And Holstein Kiel still gain a point to stay above them and keep that 2-point lead. So Bochum in the last spot with 11 points, holding up the table. Again, there's going to be a lot of parity in this table, but some really fun matchups. Yeah,
it's crazy. Look at Stuttgart, 35 points, and then down to mid-table. So you can be in a spot off the Champions League, or you can be mid-table with 5-point difference. That's pretty cool.
But
wow, look at that.
Yeah, so it's not going to be a lot of movement on the top, maybe on the bottom, definitely in the middle. But tell us a little bit more about the weekend matchups that we have to look forward to.
Yeah, there's a lot that's going on in this one, but none bigger than one we'll talk about here in just a moment. I'm excited. I'm giddy right now. I can't wait for it. But first, we got to start off on Friday. Lower mid-table Augsburg get Leipzig at home. And don't be fooled when you see that Leipzig have just 1 win in their last 5 Bundesliga matches. What we saw last time out was Simmons and Sesko. That was beautiful. And they're starting to be dangerous, and they're starting to play well. And, I can't wait to watch them play again. On Saturday, we have Union Berlin, who found a little bit of form lately. They get top 6 hopeful Gladbach in Berlin. And the way that the bottom of the table looks right now, Union are probably safe. But Gladbach are only 2 points off of a place in Europe next year, and so they have a lot to play for. We have St. Pauli find themselves back in the relegation scrap as they welcome Freiburg to Hamburg. Freiburg are a little confusing lately as they come into this one off back-to-back wins, but they had 3 straight losses prior to that. And this one should be fun, though. These teams are fun to watch. Bottom of the table, Bochum get Dortmund at home. And even in crisis mode that Dortmund find themselves in, they should have enough firepower to get past a road trip to Bochum. Bochum have been playing teams tough at home, though. Just don't slip up, Dortmund. Don't make things crazy here. Stuttgart, like Freiburg, have been up and down lately, but they get mid-table Wolfsburg in Stuttgart. Wolfsburg, that was weird. Wolfsburg have won only once in their last 5 league matches, and they've drawn 3 straight. It seems like VfB should be able to build off of their win at Dortmund. And then it's probably the biggest match of the season when Bayern traveled to Leverkusen. More on that one in a sec. On Sunday, we have mid-table Bremen get relegation-threatened Hoffenheim. And Hoffenheim are only 4 points up from safety at the moment, but they've now lost back-to-back matches coming into this one. Though Bremen have only won once in the last 5 Bundesliga matches themselves, so I don't really know who you want to say is more informed. Eintracht Frankfurt gets second bottom, as they say. Holstein Kiel, which should end their 3-match draw streak in the Bundesliga and allow them to get back in the W column. Sorry, Kiel, I can't find anything nice to say. Free fall in Heidenheim get a struggling Mainz side. Mainz lost all the momentum they had a month ago, losing 3 of 5 and won only once in their last 5 matches. But Double H, as I call them, have been freaking horrible in the league as they've lost 4 straight. Mainz should get back on track here until we watch what happened just a few hours ago when Heidenheim goes on the road to Copenhagen in the Conference League and gets a 2-1 win. Maybe they're carrying some of that. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, do you think that a win in the whatever Conference League or Europa League, Champions League, does it do more harm or good? Because on one end, you could think that they're fatigued. Or on the other, you can be like, yeah, man, they're full of confidence. Like, what do you think? How do you? You know what I mean?
That's kind of weird. Europa Champions League, you're definitely pushing that, especially if you're where Heidenheim is. So I don't know, man. It's kind of tough to say in that league. It depends on the roster. Actually, I didn't even see the rosters, who they started. Or
right. If they have a
players,
bunch of team. Yeah.
Oh,
so, fair enough.
Tough to say, man.
Okay. Well, either way, we'll be watching that one. And hopefully, I mean, both those teams are hopefuls. Heidenheim was essentially Mainz of last year. So anyway, we'll see what happens in that one. But the match that we're all talking about, nobody's coming here for Heidenheim and Mainz. They're coming here for Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich. It's first versus second. And like I said earlier, it's probably the most important match of the season for these teams. And yes, I know they drew in Munich earlier this season, but that was back on match day 5. And we have way more data points and things to talk about and points to lean on now. Not to mention that the current 8-point gap between the two, there's a current 8-point gap between the two, which is insane to say because of how this, I don't know, it doesn't feel like Bayern's been that much better than Leverkusen, but the table says different. So that's really the gist of the situation, though, that Leverkusen find themselves in an 8-point gap in the Bundesliga to the top. And that already seems like it's too much to catch up in itself. In and of itself. Is that how you say that? In and of itself?
In and of sure.
That's hard, dude. That's a hard one. But either way, letting Bayern extend an 8-point lead to an 11-point lead with a loss, that's essentially calling the race. I mean, if they draw, it's probably the race too. I mean, not that they would get a point, but you know what I mean? This is such a good chance to cut that lead to something that they can probably get over the season. But 11 points, I mean, they're done. Both teams have only 1 loss in the Bundesliga this season, but Bayern are coming in riding a 7-game winning streak. Not to mention the 2-1 Champions League win over Celtic they just had in Glasgow in the playoff first leg. But Leverkusen, who finished 6th in the and gone straight into the round of 16 in the Champions League, will be hoping to travel and the extra match have some type of fatigue on Bayern, because that's a high tense, high stress match, I guess you would call it. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe that's one of the benefits they get. I can't stress enough, though, that this is a must-win for Leverkusen. Anything less than 3 points is essentially calling the title race. In February? Oh, it's Valentine's Day. We didn't even say Happy Valentine's Day to anybody. Oh, Happy Valentine's Day, guys. Anyway, damn, this is gonna be a fun one, Vic. I can't wait for it. It's so much hype around this one. I'm torn at the heart because I want Leverkusen to win, but my boy Harry Kane needs a trophy. You know what? No, I'm going Munich. He needs a trophy. Let's get this monkey off our back, Harry.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Bayern Munich on this one as well. They have 54 points, 8 point gap between them and the next one. And we talked about this a little bit. We were just kind of talking before the podcast started. We talked about it. One super, table. Liverpool would be on top if Bayern Munich didn't have 3 games in hand.
Never talk about it. We never talked about it.
We did talk about it. Well,
it.
we talked about it for Daniel. Remember, Daniel was wanting to do one slide. Yeah. So out of all the points for all the leagues, Liverpool have 57 with 24 games in. Bayern Munich have 54 with 21 games. So they have 3 games in hand to make up 3 teams. Like Bayern Munich have been so good this season.
Destroying
and it's been quiet. It's been pretty quiet. Nobody's really going off unless, you're a Bayern Munich fan. Nobody's going off on how dominant they've been this year. They haven't been like showing out extremely well anywhere else in the Europe tournaments, but are dominant.
I think it's because Vincent Kompany, though, like the coach they bring in to kind of be this new guy, bringing back the dominance that Bayern Munich has had in Germany is Vincent Kompany, who just coached Burnley side. They got relegated in the Prem last season. Yeah. There's not a lot of hype around that. There's more questions. I remember we talked about it on this podcast here. Whenever he got hired, like what
is going on?
What do they see? Like, why would that happen? I don't know. So yeah, I can see what you mean. How there's like people talk about other teams that are doing big things in Europe a lot, but they don't talk about Bayern Munich in the same fashion. And maybe it's because we always judge teams off of the Champions League. And yes, they did get a win in the playoff, like we just were saying, but just in general, they don't typically make it. They're like nearly boys, right? They're nearly there, and they don't get through. But I don't know. They're dominant in the Bundesliga this year. This is gonna be a good match, though. I'm excited.
Yeah. Let's go. Never losing Leverkusen. Let's do it. I think my heart's still with them. My heart's still with them, but if I had to put money on it, I'm not putting money on them.
Okay. All right. Fine. All right. Well, we're going to be watching this one. That's probably the match to watch this weekend. I mean, obviously we had Lazio and Napoli as well. Just they're serving up the matches in Europe this weekend. So excited. Okay, let's move on. We have one more league to talk about. And funny enough, the Prem has the least fun matches to watch. Is that rude to say? So let's go to England, Vic.
All right, let's go. Head to the Prem.
And before we jump to the schedule, let's talk about the table. What were you say? Sorry.
I like it. I like the music.
The music. Yes, just quick and easy. Okay,
but
rocking.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the table because it looks amazing up top, and it's all red for the first 3 spots. Liverpool, the Reds, are on top with 57 points, despite their draw that they just had at Everton. We'll talk about that match here in just a second. But they did make up their match. Everyone's at 24 now, and Liverpool have a 7-point lead against Arsenal, who are in the second spot. Arsenal have 50 points. Did get a win their last week out. Nottingham Forest, the last red team up top to top off the top 3. Have 47 points in the third spot. And then you have Chelsea sneaking in with 43 points, 4 points behind Nottingham Forest to round out the top 4. And then tickling our top 4 is Man City, booted back down to the Europa League. They have 41 points, fresh off a loss. A pretty nice watch. They should maybe see him in Europa League. That'd be pretty crazy to see him in Europa League, but we'll see how the season pans out. At the bottom of the table, Leicester City have come back to relegation zone. They have 17 points in the 18th spot. Ipswich Town remain in the relegation zone. They have 16 points. And then Southampton actually get a win, so bringing their total to 9 points this year. Finally get away from that 6. They were stuck on 6 for a long time, but they are holding up the rest of the table with 20 points. I mean, in the 20th spot, they don't have 20 points. They have 9 points, but they did get a win, like I said. Just can't catch a break for them. I do want to talk just a little bit before we go into the schedule for this next week about the Liverpool and Everton game that we just made up 2 days ago now, because it's Friday, even though we're recording this on Thursday. That was a tough game. We should have won, I think so. I wish Danny P would be able to get on this mic, because he did go watch it with me for more than 20 minutes, I guess, at BD Riley's. It was a pretty good game, pretty controversial, I would say. I don't know if you watched it, Snooze, but I'm just saying a bunch of neutral parties, not just Reds, are talking about the officiating. And that was one of the first things I said as well. Michael Oliver always has to make it about himself. Some questionable calls. I think I would blame the officiating a little bit because it did lead to two of the goals. And it was pretty rough. Did you happen to watch it at all, Snooze?
I watched the highlights. I didn't get to watch the actual match. So of course the highlights is just the goals and the build up to the goals, not like what led to them. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to go and check it out, read some articles, and see what was going on because I didn't see. I just saw that there was like a late goal, and then the crowd went crazy, and there was like fights and stuff. Like that's all I saw.
Yeah, we were getting there.
Oh, my bad.
No. So the first goal was a fan, like he dove, like he didn't touch him. He dove. And that free kick led to the first Everton goal, which, it's fine. We should still beat them. I think in the end, there were some bad calls that led to some goals. But we're good enough to beat them with those bad calls, and we didn't do it. So we didn't step up. We did steal a point, though. I did think that this midweek matchup was just, bonus points that we would get because we did have a game in hand. And our producer, Danny P, I'll tell you, he wanted me to note that Liverpool have not beaten Everton in over a year. So there you go, Danny P. Are you happy?
There we go.
I think it was a good send-off also for Goodison Park. So.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's the one podcast I did listen to about this. It was obviously pre-match. Was talking about like the history of these matchups in Goodison Park and kind of like why that stadium is such a big piece of the history for. I think it was the first stadium that was built specifically for football in England. And I said football there because we're talking in England. I'm not trying to get beat up here, but yes, it's something like that. And it was just really cool. Sad to see them go, but the stadiums sometimes, we haven't been to Goodison Park yet, but we won't be able to, right?
Like, I don't know.
It might be,
I'm not wearing blue.
Yeah, there you go. It's maybe not fun to go to. And they're just trying to, bring in more. It's all about the revenue sharing now. Like, hey, if we can get concerts and things into our stadium, let's do it. But I actually heard in that same podcast, they said that Taylor Swift made an Anfield appearance twice in a row last year. So, and I don't think Anfield's new. I think it's an older stadium. So
we keep adding to it. That's what it is. We just keep adding a bunch of stuff. I would be remiss to say, so two more points just on this, and then we can move on because I know we don't. This isn't a Liverpool podcast. One is their new stadium, Everton's new stadium, looks amazing. I've seen the renders, seen all kinds of stuff. Looks absolutely incredible. I think it's right on the water, so it looks great. So it's gonna be fun to beat them there next year. And then two, all the red cards after the game. There were fights. Who on Everton went to go gesture at the Liverpool supporters.
Decore.
Went to go gesture just to talk shit. And Curtis Jones ran over there, pushed him, grabbed us. They started scuffling. They both got yellow cards. They were already on a yellow card, so they both got red cards. And then Arne Slot, I guess like just shook Michael Oliver's hand too hard. Got an immediate red for what he might have said.
I saw that was weird though because it was like he shook like as soon as he was shaking his hand, he's like instantly reaching for the card. Like man, did he come up and call him some names? Like what was going on?
Probably
that was crazy.
Probably called him a couple of things, but
and so that's when you asked earlier. Like, did you see the what happened? Like, of course they didn't show anything other than the goals and that part. Like, so I saw all of that. I saw what happened after the match. But man, crazy scenes for the last game at Goodison.
Yeah, just wanted to bring that up. Again, we're not a Liverpool podcast. We can go ahead and go on to match day 25 of the Prem. Yeah, match day 25 of the Prem. Boom. Snooze, let us know about these matchups we have coming up this weekend.
Boom. All right. I'm watching this screen and not my notes. What the heck? Professional here. On Friday, which is weird. We usually don't get Friday matchups in the Prem, but we do get Brighton versus Chelsea. Brighton come into this one with back-to-back losses, and the European dream is fading real quick, actually. Chelsea, on the other hand, have done enough to see themselves in fourth place, but City are just a couple points behind them, so it's big both ways, actually. Saturday, we get second in the table Arsenal traveling to 18th Leicester. Leicester have shown flashes this season, but recently have lost 4 of their last 5 matches in the Prem. Arsenal should be able to get 3 points here. I don't think anybody would argue that. West Ham, they sit in 16th in the table, which is crazy to say. I mean, not crazier than Spurs and Manchester United being right above them in the table, but still, They get a mid-table Brentford side who lost to Spurs last time out. And at this point, West Ham, like Spurs and Everton, would appear to be in a relegation battle only because of their placement in the table. But if you look at the points, like Hype Man Vic was just showing us, they pretty much all have enough to get by. A 10-point gap from those teams down there. They're playing horrible right now. I don't see them making up that. But either way, they are technically in a relegation scrap. And to where they shouldn't, this isn't a serious relegation scrap for them, but either way, just have to call that out. Bottom of the table, Southampton get a Bournemouth side who are licking their wounds from that defeat to Liverpool in the last match day. Southampton did get 3 points against Ipswich last time out, but you would think the Cherries get back on track because Ipswich have been pretty bad. Aston Villa take on second bottom, as they say, Ipswich Town. Ipswich have lost 4 consecutive Premier League matches and have a tough task to get anything from a Villa side who are having a great season overall, I would say. They advance in the FA Cup. They're top 8 in the Champions League. I mean, good year for Villa. I mean, obviously, they're not where they want to be in the table yet, but that you can't take. I mean, you know, you're in the top of the Champions League, in the top 8 anyway. That's pretty good year. Man City also get Newcastle at the Etihad, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Fulham are looking to push up the mid-table side and get Nottingham Forest this weekend, which Nottingham Forest, of course, we always talk about it. They are at Craven Cottage, but they're third in the table right now. Both teams have struggled recently to hit the form they were in earlier this season. But, I mean, still, this is crazy. This is crazy, Vic. It's not – we can't talk about it anything other than that. It's February. It's about to be Valentine's Day, February 14th, and Forest are still third in the table. That's insane. Crystal Palace welcome Everton to Selhurst Park, and this is my sleeper match of the week. There you go, Danny P. I just think it's going to be really good. Both teams come into this match with 3 wins in their last 5 Premier League matches, and only 1 loss in that span each. And man, they're playing good football right now. It's a very interesting matchup. It's going to be fun to watch. And you know, I don't know if Everton are going to pass up Spurs in the table. That would be pretty funny if that happened. But, you know, it's very possible because we'll talk about the Spurs matchup here in a second. Sunday, Liverpool weren't able to put away Everton at midweek, as we just talked about, but they get an easier task this time around with Wolves coming to Anfield. Wolves did beat Aston Villa 2-0 last time out, but they had lost 4 consecutive Premier League matches prior to that win. And then, Vic, please, drum roll. We get a massive relegation scrap between Spurs and Manchester United. Both teams have been pretty sad lately, and I honestly have no idea who to give the edge to. I really don't. Spurs still might not have a fully functioning squad, or they have to start a bunch of kids from the academy. But because of that, I'll go United until I hear that anybody else is healthy. But I don't. Either team you can't put faith in at this point. That pains me to say. But the match that we're all talking about and the match that we're going to be watching this weekend is Newcastle versus City. And both teams come in off losses in the last match day. But City also had to deal with Real Madrid in the Champions League, and they lost that too. So for all the collapsing that they've done this season, they're still only 6 points off of Forest in that third spot in the table. With Newcastle not having European matches to deal with this season, you would think that getting back in Europe is kind of the goal. They're on target for that, or their main goal anyway. But the problem is they probably weren't thinking Conference League at the beginning of the season. They're thinking Champions League, so they still have some work to do. Either way, Newcastle are 6th and City are 5th and in the table at the moment. So getting 3 points for either side goes a long way towards stamping their credentials for Europe. Whoa, you think I'm the one that's drinking here. No matter how bad it gets for City, though, I still can't see them dropping any more points. They have a track record of winning, and so it's hard for me to see them to keep losing. But they can't have defensive collapses like they've had recently, especially with Isak on the other side of the pitch. The dude is on fire right now. This is going to be a fun one. I'm expecting a lot of goals, a lot of back and forth. I don't know how it plays out. I really don't, but I'll be watching it either way. Vic, how do you feel about this one?
I don't know, man. I think Man City is run out on their bad luck. Most people run out on their luck, but I think they'll run out on the bad luck. I think they'll pull off the win here and, at least get back in the win column. Well, more consistently into the win column. As much as it pains me to say.
Like, they can't keep going, right? They can't keep losing.
Yeah. It's
no way.
It's pretty crazy. So, plus also not seeing him in any European spot next year. It would be, I just don't feel like
unfathomable.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't picture it. You know what I mean? So I'll go Man City on this one. I say just a solid 2-0 result.
I mean, if Pep Guardiola has no champion, no any European football next year, he'll probably not lose a game in the league. Like he's like, wait, I can just do this
Yeah,
once a week.
sure.
Like that's cool. Oh man, but let's not hope for that. So, okay, well, if I had to choose one, I'll probably go. Can I go draw? Is that okay? Because I don't know. I honestly don't know. But yeah, it's going to be fun either way. These teams will go after it, and yeah, it'll be a fun night at the Etihad. Okay, that is it for our look ahead to this weekend. A lot of great matchups, Vic. A lot of things that are going on this weekend. I'm excited. I can't wait for it. But take us home, sir.
Looking fun. Again, appreciate everybody for spending time with. Jesus, let me try that again. We're professionals here. Appreciate everyone for spending time with us today. Please let us know what you guys think. What are you looking forward to this weekend? And, we'd love to interact with you guys. Comment down below. And, we just want to talk to you guys, see what you guys are up to. And, follow us on
let us know if, my bad. I would say also let us know if Danny P needs to put music in this spot,
Yeah.
The vibe to.
If it's, it'll probably, cover up some of my accidental messes up. So. But be sure to follow us on all of our social medias. Everything is at No Business Soccer Podcast, except for X, except for I almost said Twitch, TikTok. Yeah, I am messing up this outro pretty bad. You should probably just cut it off right here. Except for X, except for TikTok. That is at No Biz Sock Pod. And we'd love to talk to you there as well. Everyone, enjoy your football this weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Peace.